back to my channel. This is To Keep for Cancer, and my name is Jody, and we are doing our mental health segments. This is our second one. If you have missed the first one, I'm going to throw a link up here and you can catch up. But today we are going to continue on to our first subject, and that is grief. And we have here with us Diana. She is a marriage, family, child therapist. I almost said it right.
Almost.
Therapist. Okay, say what you are. Introduce yourself, girl.
Hi, I'm Diana. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist.
There you go. She said it right. She's got all the experience and everything. So if you want to know our history and all of our background and all the nitty gritty, go back up to this link, take a peek, and then come back and join us, okay? So today we're going to start on basically, I was saying when I very first was diagnosed, she asked me, did I, how I dealt with it and stuff. And I said, well, actually, when I first was diagnosed the very first time, my son was put in the hospice the day I found out I had breast cancer. And then 3 days later, my father-in-law died. So I put a pin in it and I held it there and I didn't deal with it. The second time around, then I maybe started dealing with it. So anyway, we're going to start from there.
Yes. So like Jody was saying, we are talking about the stages of grief. The reason why we talk about this is because you've been given information that is life-changing, and you need to understand what is happening in that moment. So there are 5 stages of grief. If you look this up, there will be 5. You'll see others that will say there's 7, there's 12, but there is the 5 main points of grief. And I'm going to mention those right now. We have denial, anger, bargaining, which I will go into another series and talk about that, because that bargaining is a little bit more identified as anxiety. We have depression. And then the final grief stage is when you come into acceptance. So I was asking Jody earlier about the stages of grief that she experienced, because these experiences are not linear. That doesn't mean that it's going to go this way. You're going to go through denial, and then after denial, okay, now it's time to change it. We're going to go through anger, and okay, I've been through anger, and we're going to go on to the next one. It does not work that way.
Can you give us an example?
So, like what we were talking about, denial can be around as you're experiencing depression, as you're experiencing anxiety. It can stay there with you. You can experience denial. So for example, when you first were diagnosed, you mentioned you put a pin in it, right? So you weren't ready to face the stages.
No.
And it sounded like you stayed in denial because you pinned it and you said, okay, I'm going to go do all these other things because I can still do them. And I'm going to hold this diagnosis off.
Right. And that doesn't say that I didn't deal with the physical part. I did. I went through my surgeries. I did my radiation, and I did what I needed to do to take care of the physical being. But the inside being, it was a pin in it. That's it. I can't deal with it. Because I had, 3 other children to take care of, and, work, and there's always, as women, a lot of times you're always the last one to get anything, right? Mom always takes one for the team. So that's kind of where I was with that.
Yeah. One thing, viewers, is that grief demands to be felt. Okay? So that means not just one of the stages, it means all your stages. And it does demand that it's felt and that you experience it and that you deal with it. So denial, okay, yes, I have to go to my doctor appointment, I'm gonna go do it, but then I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna go do something else. It's like checking off a box.
Yeah, it is. It's like checking off a box, and you feel like you're dealing with it, and you're dealing well, actually. I thought I was Superwoman. I've got this diagnosis and I'm feeling great about that. It's my son dying that I'm sad about. It's very easy just to do a check and stuff. I did happen to, for me, I went with denial for a very long time, and then my second diagnosis came. And I think I had anger first because I was angry that my body let me down. I was angry that I was at the top of my career. I was interpreting on the red carpet. That was like super cool. And my body was, you know, what got me around to every job. And looking good was another, you know, thing. You know, I needed to look decent for these events. I didn't need to be carrying a pole around or a bag sticking out of me or, you know, concave chest or whatever. So I think I hit anger next for me. And I don't think it came out as anger. I don't know. Maybe you can say a little bit about that. It just kind of, I don't know. I think it was more internal anger and an anger against myself, like I can't get anything right type feeling.
And that's true because you are dealing with a lot of different emotions at that point. And the anger does not need to be put on somebody else, but you could be a little bit irritable. Your mood shifts, it changes.
Right.
And then people around you are noticing these differences in you. And even though you're dealing with it internally, how do you express what you are experiencing to a loved one or someone that is really close to you? Can you go in there and just be like, I'm really mad at my body right now. I just really am upset.
Right.
And the difficulty and the challenges of actually getting through to being able to speak to somebody about that.
Right. I think I spoke to the wrong somebodies about that for a while because I didn't understand that I needed to go out and get help at this point. At this point, I felt like I was dealing pretty good. I still had that denial going on, but I felt like if I talked to somebody else and just got it off my chest, I would feel better, pray about it, and I would feel better. And I think what happened is I went to talk to somebody about it, and they put their crap on me and started voicing all their frustrations about how they felt let down in their marriage or they felt let down with this and that. And then I became the counselor to them, and my stuff just got pushed aside. Not everybody that I talked to, I did have Diana, and she was a great staple, but I wasn't talking to the right people. And so that anger, that stage, I think lingered a little bit longer until it became more of a depression. And then I think I stayed in the depression probably for the last 5 years.
Okay. And that's a really good point because she said 5 years, everybody. 5 years. So this grieving that happens, it's not a 1 year, you're done and you move on. Grief is part of your life now.
Right.
And like we said, it's not linear, so it's something that you will experience now. You will pass denial. Jody might get back to denial at any point. She might get, good news or not so good news. Recently she got good news. And that doesn't mean that she won't have denial if she has another setback or somebody tells her something, or it doesn't mean you're not going to go back to anger. You're not going to experience depression again. You do get to that final stage of acceptance,
right?
Of knowing, and that doesn't mean you're going to accept things and move on. It means you come to some type of peace,
right,
within your heart of, okay, this is my life right now, and I need to do life.
Yeah, that's where I think I've just barely gotten to in the last 2 years. I mean, I think I've hit on that before. I did go to counseling. I went to, actually it started out with a bereavement counselor because I was grieving the loss of my son, and I don't think I was dealing with that. But as I got into counseling, I learned that I wasn't dealing with a lot of stuff. And one of those things was my diagnosis. And so in counseling, we talked about this. We talked about what stages I was in, and they given tools to deal with it. But what helped me was the very most was knowing that I wasn't the only one dealing with these and not feeling that way. And that's why today, and through these mental health series that we're doing, I want you guys to know that you're not alone. Your anxiety, your fear, your depression, your frustration, or maybe your denial, whatever it is you're going through is not abnormal. It is a normal process. We are human beings. We are physical, mental, we've got it all going on. And we can't just focus on outside of us in the physical part without dealing with the spiritual and the inner part of us. So that's kind of where I started, I think, moving forward to acceptance, except for then I got hit with stage 4, and I think I just went all back through. I was like, it was just really hard, but I had the tools. That was the important part. I had the tools so I could move on and move into acceptance. Can you explain what acceptance would look like?
Well, when you get to acceptance, it looks a little bit like Jody's talking about now. She is understanding that she will have denial. She's understanding what it means when she has anger, and she's experienced it, but like she said, she's using the tools. And when you get to acceptance, it becomes a part of you saying, okay, yes, I have this, but I'm still going to move forward.
Right.
I'm still going to praise God. Because that's one of the things where, how can I have joy in my heart as I'm going and I'm experiencing this devastating news? And God tells us, right? To even in these moments that you seek joy. And when you come to an acceptance is that you are going to be thankful for where you are in this moment, in this journey. You're going to become accepting of it. And yet you are not going to deter from things. You're going to push forward, and you're going to do the best that you can. Not the best that somebody else is telling you to do. It's the best that you can. And so if that means waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth, then hey, you did it. And sometimes these mental health providers are here to cheer you on for those successes, because they are successes. And it's just part of the journey. And the pamphlets that you get for informationals when you do get diagnosed, seek those resources out, because when you feel like you have no one, there are people out there ready to support you. There are people like Jody with this channel and saying, I am here to give you my experience of accepting where I'm at and sharing my journey with you. And so you sometimes might feel that the support system is not there, but I encourage you to build and create your own support system. Right.
And that's a great place to end this segment. I encourage you guys to be your own advocate. My whole channel is about standing up. Don't sit down. Be your own advocate in medical things, but also in your mental health. That is so important. And when you deal with what you're supposed to be dealing with, this takes a load off of you, and your body can heal better. And that is a win-win, right? And also, when you start dealing with all this, you can decide where your boundaries are, and you can set some boundaries. Like for me, I may need to be in bed. I was in bed all day yesterday. I couldn't get out because my chest muscles were doing that cramping thing again, and I had to put heating pads on it. And I was okay. In denial, I would say, I'm gonna have to move that around. I got a headache, I got this going on, whatever. But now I can say, you know what? I'm having this cramping thing. I'm doing this. I need to take care of me right now. And then tomorrow I will get back with you, or whatever. And I do this with my channel. If there's something that's supposed to be aired and you don't see it, I have a bunch of comments, Jody, are you okay? And now you guys know, if you don't hear from me, it doesn't mean I'm not okay. It just means I need to do me right now. So that is three things I want you guys to take away is seek help, be your own advocate. Go Google. Come on, everybody has Google here. go on Google it out. If you don't get that pamphlet, if you lost it, if you don't feel satisfied with the answers you get, seek your own advocate, your own
mental health
mental health provider. Thank you very much. Then the second thing is, let that be a part of your journey. Include that in there. And then, last but not least, don't be afraid to put boundaries and set some boundaries up for yourself as you self-advocate. So we are going to.
Well, one more thing I wanted to say. Shoes fit differently on everybody. Sometimes they're comfortable, sometimes they're not. Same thing with a therapist. Sometimes you go and I see a therapist and you feel that was not a good match. And that's okay. That's okay. Because we are not going to be a match for just everyone. There are thousands of people here viewing, and I won't probably be the best match for some of you. But yet with some others, I might be the best match. Right. So even in that sense, if you go to therapy and you try someone else out, you try someone out and you move forward, and then at that one point you're like, I'm not feeling like I'm getting what I need at that moment. It's okay to shop around. Right. Because if you shop around for shoes, I would say shop around for a therapist as well.
And you are self-advocating by choosing your therapist. A therapist is so much better than a doctor, because your doctors are all like telling you what to do and you have very few options of doctors. But therapist, you can choose one that matches you, and it's not that hard. So I'm going to end today and say thank you for being with us. And if you are not following my channel and you would like to be a part of today's conversation and many others, hit the subscribe button and set that notification bell to alert you of our next mental health series, which will be on anxiety. So stay tuned for anxiety. We're going to give you anxiety. No, we're not. I love you guys.